If your VA business isn't growing, the problem probably isn't marketing. It's not LinkedIn, it's not Instagram, it's not the algorithm. It's not because there are too many VAs. And it's not because AI has taken over and no one needs support anymore. In fact, I'd go as far as saying that most struggling VA businesses don't have a marketing problem at all. They have a foundations problem. I talk to a lot of VAs and they will often tell me, I need more clients, I need more visibility, I need to post more content. But when we actually look at the business, what we often find is their offer isn't clear. Their pricing isn't sustainable. Their systems are held together with sticky tape and good intentions. They're not tracking their numbers, and the client experience is inconsistent. So, even if I could magically double their inquiries overnight, the business still wouldn't be set up for long-term success. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because whether you're brand new to the VA world or you've been running your business for years, there are a handful of foundations that every successful business needs. And if even one of them is weak, it can hold everything else back. If we haven't met before, hello, I'm Holly Copsey of the VA Handbook and Virtually Priceless. I've spent the last 8 years building and growing my VA business, leading teams, supporting clients, and helping VAs at every stage of their journey to build businesses that are profitable, sustainable, and genuinely enjoyable to run. And that's exactly what this podcast is all about. Okay, so let's get into it. I've been spending a lot of time recently talking to VAs at every stage of the journey. Some are trying to land their first client, some are running established businesses. But what's fascinating is that the challenges are often different, but the businesses that thrive all tend to have the same strong foundations. So let's talk about the 6 foundations every successful VA business needs. Foundation number 1, a clear offer. No, I don't mean having a list of every task you've ever done on your website. I mean being crystal clear on who you help, what you help them with, why they should choose to work with you. One of the biggest mistakes I see VAs making is trying to be everything to everyone. And I was definitely guilty of that myself when I first started out. And at heart, we're people pleasers, right? The logic seems sound. If I offer more services, more people will buy from me. But what often happens is the opposite. Your messaging becomes vague. People struggle to understand exactly what you do. And when people are confused, they don't buy. Now, I'm not saying you need to niche so narrowly that you only support left-handed accountants who own a poodle. But prospects should quickly understand what problems you solve, who you solve them for, and what outcome they can expect. Ask yourself, if someone landed on your LinkedIn profile right now, would they understand what you do within 10 seconds? If not, that might be the first thing to work on. Right, next up, foundation number 2 is pricing. This is where so many VAs unintentionally create problems for themselves. Because when you're starting out, it's tempting to charge less. You think it will help you win clients, and often it does. The problem is that low prices become very difficult to sustain. I've spoken to so many VAs over the years who are technically busy but financially frustrated. They're working evenings and weekends and juggling multiple clients, yet somehow they're still not earning what they hoped they would. And usually the issue comes back to pricing. Your rates need to support the business you're trying to build, not just the business you're trying to survive. Remember, you're not only paying for your time, you're paying for your software, insurance, training, admin time, marketing, holiday, pension, and tax bill, and hopefully making some profit too. The question isn't what would a client be willing to pay? The question is, what does my business need to charge to be commercially viable? Those are very different conversations, and you need to be clear on the numbers. Okay, foundation number 3, systems. I know this isn't the most exciting topic, but honestly, good systems are one of the fastest ways to reduce stress in your business. every successful business runs on systems. How do inquiries come in? What happens after a discovery call? How do you send proposals? How do you onboard clients? How do you manage tasks? How do you invoice? And how do you follow up? The goal isn't to create complicated processes. It's to create consistency, because every time you're reinventing the wheel, you're wasting time and energy. Try to bear in mind that your systems should support your future self. Imagine bringing someone else into your business tomorrow. Could they follow your processes? Could they understand how your business operates? Or is everything currently stored in your head? If it's the latter, it's probably time to start documenting. Now we come to foundation number 4, consistent marketing. This is where many people think the problem lies, but marketing works far better when the foundations underneath it are already solid. You don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to master every platform. And you definitely don't need to post 3 times a day. That's totally unrealistic. What you do need is consistency. You need people to know you exist, whether that's through LinkedIn, networking, referrals, partnerships, email marketing, podcasting, speaking, or something else entirely. The specific channel matters less than showing up consistently. And one of the classic mistakes VAs often make is only marketing when work dries up, then stopping as soon as they get busy again. Marketing isn't something you do when you need clients. It's something you do because one day you will need clients. The VAs who build the most sustainable businesses tend to be the ones who market consistently, even when they're busy. Right, foundation number 5, financial tracking. This one is hugely underrated and one that my mentees hear me bang on about all the time. You need to know your numbers. And I don't just mean revenue. Revenue's only one number. Do you know how much profit you're making? What your average client value is? What percentage of your income comes from your biggest clients? How many leads you're generating? How much work is lined up for the next month? How much money is actually left after expenses? Because if you don't know those numbers, you're making decisions without the full picture. One of the biggest shifts in my own business came when I stopped thinking like a service provider and started thinking like a CEO. CEOs know their numbers because the numbers tell a story. They help you spot risks, identify opportunities, and they help you make better decisions. You don't need a finance degree, but you do need visibility. So get your accounting platform and a spreadsheet open and get started. And finally, foundation number 6, client experience. This is the foundation that often gets overlooked because everybody talks about getting clients. Far fewer people talk about keeping them. But retaining clients is often easier and more profitable than constantly finding new ones. Think about every interaction somebody has with your business. How quickly do you respond? How professional is your onboarding? How clear are your processes? How proactive are you? How often do you check in? How easy are you to work with? The best VAs don't just complete tasks, they create confidence. Their clients trust them and they know things won't fall through the cracks. They know someone is looking ahead, and that's often what separates a good VA from a great one. So let's finish with a quick recap. The 6 foundations every successful VA business needs are a clear offer, sustainable pricing, effective systems, consistent marketing, financial tracking, and an exceptional client experience. Ask yourself which one of these foundations is currently weakest in your business. The next breakthrough doesn't usually come from doing more. It comes from strengthening what's already there. In my experience, successful businesses aren't built on hacks. They're not built on trends, and they're not built on luck. They're built on solid foundations. Get those right, and everything else becomes a whole lot easier. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Visionary VA podcast. I'll be back with the next one on Thursday, the 18th of June. If this episode has highlighted a few gaps in your own business, don't panic. That's actually a good thing. Awareness is the first step, and now you know where to focus. And finally, if you're thinking about growing your business and hiring your first associate anytime soon, check out our new free download, Hiring Associates with Ease, which is now available on the VA Handbook website. I'll pop the link in the show notes. See you next time.